Alright, today we're going to show you how to build the perfect arrow. What I mean by the perfect arrow is the most forgiving arrow that you can build for a hunting setup or even a target setup for that point, okay? There's going to be a few things that you're going to need. If you don't have an arrow saw, I would advise you getting one. It's not a necessity. You can go to a bow shop and have them cut your arrows for you, and then you can bring them home and build them like this yourself. One thing you're going to need is a fletching jig. This is a Bitzenberg with a straight clamp. It's a fantastic jig. You're going to need some fletching glue. You're going to need also some sort of epoxy. I'm going to use a hot melt. I know people are probably going to tell me in the comments below, don't use hot melt with carbon. If you don't get it super hot and you have a cup of water to dip your point and your insert into, it's not going to damage the shaft. You might need a vane stripper if you want to refletch your arrows once we get this completed, and you'll see why later in the video. Get a couple fixed blade broadheads you like to shoot. If not, just pick up some. You can get them usually inexpensive after season at Walmart. And just because what we're going to do, we're going to spin test and insert tune these broadheads. A silver and black Sharpie, and the most important thing is going to be this fast tool. Any arrow square is going to work, but this one is really in a league of its own because you can square the back end with fletching still on there, and that will help square your arrows up and get them flying a lot better than what they already are. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the arrow shaft that you've selected. This is a 300 spine Gold Tip Hunter XT. It's a great shaft. It's a 3000 straightness. You can also get this in a 6000 or a 1000 straightness. The first thing I'm going to recommend that you do is automatically take 1 inch of your arrow off the back. Cut 1 inch off of it, and then you're going to want to square it up using this fast tool. Knock all your little burrs off. One thing you can do, you can take either Sharpie. So we can do the silver Sharpie, and what we're going to do is we're just going to color the edge of that right there. And whenever you spin it, it will take it all off, letting you know that your shaft is really, really square. And as you can see, there's no more silver on the flat end of that shaft. So you would reinstall your nock, and then you would have them cut the rest of the arrow off to your desired length, okay? Square it again. You can mark it if you want, but a good arrow square like this Luminoc fast tool will make sure that it gets square. It'll seat it square. Just keep pressure going forward and down, and then turn it with your backhand. So this is going to be one place where your markers are going to become very, very helpful to you. So you're going to want to just grab your insert with the fixed blade broadhead. It's just easier to thread it right now because there's going to be no glue holding it. Get it really tight. Be very careful doing this. If you have a broadhead wrench, highly recommend using it. Take your black marker, and you just want to make a little bitty line. Just like that right there. That way it's going to give you just a starting point to where your broadhead is aligned. Take you a flat surface. Carpet's not a real good thing. And you just want to spin it. If you've squared both ends, it should spin pretty good. That was actually spinning really good, so I'm just going to take it. I'm going to turn it to see if I can't find the wobble. That might actually spin a little bit better. It actually spun really good. Trying to find a little bit of a wobble, if it has one. It has a tiny, tiny wobble in it right here. If it's something you can't see, sometimes you can feel it in the shaft. If you put it on your hand, you can feel it wobble. So we're going to go back to where I had it. Right between those two blades. That spun really, really fast and good right there. Yeah, that's been straight. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to take your silver Sharpie and just put you another mark on it. Just like that. That way you know when you go to glue it, you can turn this insert to this same spot and get it lined up. Now this is going to be super duper important, especially if you start shooting a shaft, in my opinion, that's under a 3000 straightness. This is going to be super important to do. This shaft was very, very easy to do this too. I've had some in the past that were very difficult to find a good spot for it, but if you cut them square and you square them off, it's not that tedious of a project, but it will make sure that your broadheads spin as perfect as could be. Alright, so whenever you're inserting this, like I said, you can get a two-piece or a two-part epoxy, works just as fine. I don't have that available, this is what I have. So literally just like maybe 4 seconds in there, and you just want to get your insert hot enough to where it starts taking glue off. There we go. A little bit more. 2, 3. Run it all in those little glue channels. Then you're just going to spin your insert. Line up your two marks. Just like that. Turn your torch off so you don't burn yourself. Just want to dip your insert in some water. Alright, so now what we're going to do is called knock tuning. I do it with a bare shaft. To me it works that way. I know there's some people that'll say you don't shoot your arrow without a fletching. No, but if it will shoot straight down the range without fletching, it's going to be even more forgiving when you do put that on there. So one thing you're going to do with the black Sharpie, you're going to need both of them. The black Sharpie, you're going to mark your knock in an up position and also the shaft so you have a starting position. Okay? You're going to knock your arrow, and you already should have your bow paper tuned by this point. This is just building your arrows. And what we're going to try to achieve is a perfect bullet hole, and we're going to spin the arrow on the knock just like this until we can achieve that, okay? And you'll see that you may have just a little nagging tear and on a couple different arrows. It's not going to be on every one of them. Some of them will just bullet hole right out of the gate, but also some of them won't. So we're just going to stand probably 3 foot back. This is one of them that's not going to give us any issues. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mark it with my silver marker. That way I know how to index and put my cog vane on the shaft. Okay, so this was the first hole I shot, which was absolutely perfect. I don't know if you can see it, but right here it's starting to tear a little bit. I'm going to move it again, see if we can't get a bigger. Again, get a bigger tear right there. And that's the whole point of this knock tuning, is to make sure that every one of your arrows, when you knock them, are going to be the exact same on your bow every single time, so you get a really forgiving arrow build. Alright, so the next step in to build the perfect arrow, once you have got it shooting a perfect bullet hole, you've marked it with your silver Sharpie, you need to figure out what your string launch is on your arrow to figure out which way it naturally wants to spin coming off your arrow, or off the string, I'm sorry. The way you do that is you just take your silver mark, point it up or the direction that you need it to be orientated on your string, and you get really close to this. You don't want to give it a full rotation or enough room for a full rotation. Probably again 3 feet from the target, and you're just going to fire into the target. Okay. Now we're going to go up here and you'll see that that knock has turned left or right, and that's the way that you want to, that's how you're going to determine if you want to go right helical, right offset, left helical, left offset. Alright, so this knock is turning to the left. Okay, so whenever I knocked it, that mark was on top, it's going to the left, so I'm going to put a left offset. Put our shaft into the jig, make sure that this little flat spot is facing up. That's going to be for your cock vane. Now I like to run mine in the up position, so it's going to be the first vane that I put on. So I'm going to take this little silver mark, put my clamp on with the vane in it, and I want it to be right behind that vane. Okay, if you shot cock vane out, you're going to have to play with it to figure out what rotation you're going to need to get. You want this mark to be on top of your arrow every single time you nock it, okay? So if you do run a cock vane, mark that on your arrow a different way, or play with your jig enough. I don't know how you would actually go about doing that. Most arrow SO, you do run straight up. All right, well, I hope this video has been helpful for you. If there's anything that you would like to see in more detail, drop it in the comments below and we'll make a video addressing that one particular thing. And I know there's going to be people say, you don't need to do this just to hunt a deer. Well, you know what, that person's probably right, but they probably don't have a forgiving and accurate and even a lot of confidence to shoot past 20 yards either. You know, I've only have one kill over 40, so I know it's an uncommon thing, but it does happen. Western hunters encountered a whole lot more shooting elk and mule deer at 40 to 60 yards. But having that peace of mind, knowing that every arrow is built the same, they all are super forgiving for when you get in those uncomfortable positions in a tree stand or a ground blind or spotting in stock, and knowing that your arrow is going to find the mark because it's a forgiving arrow. Nothing in this arrow is fighting itself anymore because the nock is tuned, the insert is tuned, and your fletchings are oriented based on the natural launch of that bow and the arrow combination. This shouldn't take, I would say, 25 minutes to do, extra minutes to do a dozen arrows, okay? If it does take you longer than that, especially on the nock tuning end, you probably have a spine issue where your bow is completely out of tune, and then you need to start over from there. But you get the right spine and you get them cut to the right length, it doesn't take a lot of effort to do this, and it's just a great peace of mind. So if you haven't already, what's good? Subscribe to the channel. Comment down below any other videos you'd like to see, and don't forget to hit the like button. And until we talk next time, God bless.